Good morning, Dyson, and welcome to Friday's maths lesson. Okay, let me share my screen. Can you get a pencil and a piece of paper and answer these three questions for me? So fill in the missing, fill in the missing number here. This question says, write another number sentence that is the same as 14 plus 5. And number 3 says, how many tens are there in the number 48? So I'd like you to write the date, the numbers 1, 2, and 3, and then pause me and answer those three questions, okay? Well done. Hopefully you're back and you answered those questions. Okay, our learning objective today is, can I measure using non-standard units? Your turn. Can I measure using non-standard units? What does that mean, Miss Walker? Well, today we'll be measuring different objects using non-standard units. This means that if we didn't have a ruler or a tape measure or something that we usually measure with, we could use any item at all to measure, for example, this sandcastle. We could use, let me get my highlighter out. That's probably a better idea. There we go. So this means we could use anything to measure this castle. However, there are a couple of rules that we need to follow, okay? That's what I just said. So the first rule is all of our items must be the same size. So this doesn't work because this shell is smaller than these shells. So all the shells, we could use shells, but they would have to be the same size, okay? That's rule number 1. Okay, rule number 2 is the objects you use must be next to each other. They must be put right next to each other. So we can't have these gaps here. Do you see? So we could use blocks. These are perfect because they're all the same size, but we can't have any gaps like that. Okay, so that's rule number 2. So, oops, sorry. So let's try it together. How many shells long is this castle? Let's find out, shall we? So we use our shells, we follow the 2 rules. So all the shells are the same size, and I'm going to make sure there are no gaps. So how many shells long is this castle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh. Let's say 6. Let's make the castle slightly bigger so that it is 6. There we go. Okay, it is 6 shells long. So our stem sentence would be, the castle is 6 shells long. Your turn. Fantastic. Okay, let's try it with a different one. So, how many suitcases tall is this giraffe? Let's find out, shall we? So we line up our suitcases. Make sure there's no gaps. 1, 2, 3. So what would our stem sentence be for this one? Can you have a think? Maybe tell me? Well done. Okay, my turn. The giraffe is 3 suitcases tall. Fantastic. Okay, so the giraffe is 3 suitcases tall, but how many orange juice bottles tall is he? Should we find out? Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's 5.5 really, isn't he? 5.5. So you can measure the same thing with different items and it makes a different answer because they're non-standardized units of measure. Okay, that's a complicated word, but it basically means that 3 suitcases is the same as 5.5 orange juice bottles. Okay, so now it's your turn. What could we use to measure a spoon at your house? What could you use? I thought I could use maybe paper clips or blocks or shells, as long as they're the same size. You could literally use anything you want to. Okay, so, but, sorry, before we do it, we need to remember the 2 rules. First rule, the items must be the same size. Okay, so if you were using pens, for example, they would all have to be, do you see me, the same size pens. You couldn't use one pen that was this tall and one pen that was that tall. You couldn't do that. They would all have to be the same. Okay, the second rule is don't leave any gaps. Okay, really important. When you're measuring using non-standard units of measure, don't leave any gaps. Like up here, we didn't leave any gaps between our suitcases, did we? Or our shells. So now it's your turn. I'd like you, please, to get a spoon. Choose what you're going to measure that spoon with. Is it going to be paper clips? Is it going to be blocks? Whatever you like to measure it with, but it needs to be sensible. Okay, so first things first, get a spoon. Then choose what you're going to use to measure the spoon with. Then, what are we going to do? Measure the spoon. So I'd like you to measure your spoon using your non-standard unit of measure. Then I'd like you to write the STEM sentence to tell me how many units how many units long your spoon was. So the STEM sentence is here to help you. The spoon is, and then you would fill in this box right here. So the spoon is something long. Let me give you an example. So I would put my spoon on the floor, put my paper clips touching each other along the length of the spoon. Then I would write the spoon is 4 paper clips. Now you can either write the word paper clips or draw a paper clip. The spoon is 4 paper clips long. Okay, and then I would take a picture of all of that together. Okay, so that's your first task. Pause me now and go and measure your spoon, take a picture, and then come back because there's another task to do after that. Okay, pause me now and go and do that. Okay, hopefully you're back and you've measured your spoon with your non-standard unit of measure and you've written your STEM sentence. I would now like you to measure 2 more items. Get my highlighter back. I'd like you to measure 2 more items using your non-standard unit of measure. Okay, remember to take a picture. So do this exact same thing, but for 2 more items that aren't a spoon. You could do anything you want. You choose. It's crazy. You could measure your sofa. You could measure your mum. You could measure anything you want to using a non-standard unit of measure. Okay? Remember to take a picture and remember to write that STEM sentence. Okay? So that's your next task. If you'd like the final challenge, come back and I'll show you in a second. Go and do that first and then come back. Okay? Okay, here's the challenge. The challenge is, how long is your living room? So, what you need to do is draw out a table a little bit like this, okay? And using different non-standard units of measure, you need to measure your living room. So, I've given you an example of what you could use. You could use a book to measure. So you would have to move the book and count how many units it took to go the length of your living room. And then you'd write the number here. So let's say, I don't know, 24. Everyone's living room is going to be different, so this number will change. Then I'd like you to choose something else to measure your living room with. Maybe a hairbrush. And then you'd write hairbrush in the next box, and then you count how many hairbrushes long your living room is, and then you can do it with whatever you want. You could do it with yourself, so you could write your name here and see how many straightened out lengths of yourself it took to cross your living room. Okay, that is your challenge for today. Okay, don't forget everybody to post all of this work from today onto Tapestry, okay, so I can have a look. Fantastic. Well done. Really hard work today. Good. Bye.